give me this. I think we're recording now. It's all right.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to see everyone here, AITP members and guests. Glad that everyone's taking advantage of the opportunity to hear to speak. I'm one of the top information security executives in the city, so good on you for being wise and listening to me speak. But, so let's just jump right into it. He is an Aztec for life. He's also a fellow veteran. And most notably, he's the Chief Information Security Officer of the City of San Diego. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is.
What we're going to do is, originally when him and I talked, I think I do so many different presentations. I think the original presentation was I was just going to talk about what I learned over the last 2 years as a CISO for the city. And since then I've adjusted my slide deck. So I'm actually I want to give you guys the same similar slide deck that I gave, the speech I gave to a room full of admirals about 2 weeks ago, talking about cyber and what the city's doing. I think it actually would be a little bit more interesting. So what we'll do is, next slide. There we go. We're going to talk about the city of San Diego. To give you some ideas, I come from DOD. Okay, I did about 20 years in the Navy, went ahead and retired from the Navy. Did about 8 years civil service for the Navy, doing cyber. And about 2.5 years ago, I went ahead and resigned and came over to the city of San Diego. Very active in the startup community. I also, on the board for a bunch of different cyber startups. So I look at cyber from a lot of different perspectives. With that, I kind of bring that with me to the city of San Diego. And what's kind of unique there is you're going to find out, and I'll talk about it, cities do technology differently. They do networks differently. And the city of San Diego, we're going to go ahead and kind of give you some of the numbers. Right now we have about 14,000, plus desktops, laptops, tablets, mixture of everything. You might think, okay, well that's quite a lot, but not that, nothing really to worry about. Well, these laptops and desktops and stuff are in libraries. They're on golf courses. They're in police cars. They're in ambulances. I mean, they're, in city buildings. They're out at the dump. So what it does is, kind of shows you we operate from a technology perspective in a lot of different environments. There's a lot of risk and a lot of, security involved, these different nodes where you set up and connect these networks together, because the police networks are way different than, like, say, the networks over in finance. And even though you may be using the same image on the same desktop, there are differences, with how data is handled, because the police networks have, Department of Justice, regulations that you have to follow along with the regular city, regulations. So it's quite interesting. So next slide. So we also have tablets, not just, Windows 8 tablets. We also have Android-based tablets, and we have iPads. These tablets we're expecting, right now we got about 500. We're expecting it's probably going to triple to somewhere around about 1,500 to 2,000 over the next year or two as we move more into mobility. These tablets, a lot of them are used by our teams that are out in the field. They got trouble tickets, and they want to be able to go ahead and connect back into the city's network to bring up schematics and work on whatever they're out in the field doing, and they don't want to have to go ahead and come back on a hard line and sit at a desktop. They want to be able to do it remotely. And a lot of these tablets also are used by firefighters who are out in the field. You go ahead and you got a fire truck pulls up, they're looking at a building, they want to be able to pull up the schematics, look at the architectural drawings before they go into the building. So there's some really unique stuff that we're doing now with tablets. We have over 1,000 plus city issued phones. I've got one of them along with my regular phone. And we're expecting that to go ahead and double too. As we move more into mobility, we're looking at actually building out apps already, and we're laying the groundwork, for that, because the fact that, citizens have already told us that they want to be able to, sit at home on their couch with their iPad and be able to pay their water bill. And, a lot of that, there's a lot of infrastructure you have to put in place first to be able to do that. And we're already moving that way, for it. Next slide, please. And right now we have 24 networks, not one network. So the city, you'll find out, has about 40,000 endpoints right now that we know of, as we keep on discovering stuff. Cities' networks they're unique because in a corporation, companies start, they go ahead and typically, startups, you got, 5, 10 people, you go ahead and, one person is kind of like the IT guy for the group. You just throw stuff together and you're trying to keep the lights on. You don't really think about security or anything. You just kind of build whatever you can to make it work until you can get stuff to market and start making money, and then you start kind of formalizing how you're going to do networks. Well, city networks, they span decades. So the technology you have on city networks is pretty frightening from a security perspective because of the fact that they don't throw things away. If it works, you just continue using it. It doesn't matter that you may be using an application that was built 15 years ago and that company's gone bankrupt and the people that designed that application are dead. And you got no documentation on who wrote the code. You'll continue using that application because it works. Cities use technology very differently. And so from a security perspective, when I'm dealing with 24 networks, these networks have about every type of data that you can think of. We've got healthcare data, we've got credit card data, we've got financial data, you've got, personal identification data. If you buy a house or if you get a permit or if you get a parking ticket, all that kind of information is on cities' networks. And, so it's like, so it is, the networks are very unique, and, and they're in a constant state of flux. You're constantly changing them out and stuff like that. And so, from a security perspective, at times it really scares the shit out of me. Because of the fact that you've got all of these technologies that are interconnected together. And our 24 networks don't live, separate in their own little area. Our 24 networks are connected to Interpol and the FBI and the Sheriff's Department and the County of San Diego. And they're connected to the internet, and they're connected to the district attorney's office. And so you have all of these different connections. And so I worry about my networks and them being attacked. But I also worry if I have a breach, somebody gets in and then they pivot to attack one of these other networks. Or if somebody attacks one of those other networks and then they pivot to come back the other way into my network. And so, you have a lot of doors that you have to worry about, with city networks. So I look at the fact that you only see, very complicated networks like this in like Fortune 100 companies that are very large, they're international, and and so they're all over the world, and they have all these different types of connections and stuff. It's very similar to that. The city's a $4 billion business, really. We had about a $4.2 billion budget last year, so we're about a $4 billion business. If you look at that, we're a Fortune 100 company, really. We're the 8th largest city in the nation, and 1.5 million citizens out here who are our customers. And so that's, it's pretty extensive, from a network perspective, the type of data and the type of responsibility as a CISO that you're doing to protect that data and protect those networks. Next slide. So, again, we were just talking about installed technology, and a lot of the disparate technology. It ranges from the 1980s all the way up to present day. Some of the SCADA, because I have water treatment facilities and waste treatment facilities. I have stoplights and all kinds of different stuff on the network. We found a Unix server that had been up and running for 18 years, and somebody had forgot about it. We honestly found it in the basement in one of the buildings. And we have about 900 plus servers that are all virtualized, and we have roughly about 60 hardware servers that are still up that we haven't virtualized yet. And this was one of these servers that we found was this Unix server, and you gotta love Unix, they can just run forever. you know, except for the fact that we're looking at the server, we're trying to figure out what it is. You know, we realize it's really, really old, and then someone remembered what it was, and that was a server that was controlling all the stoplights in the city. We're like, yeah, you know, everybody slowly backs away from it, nobody touches it, until we could figure out a way to go ahead and make an image of it, you know, and turn it into a virtual server so we could shut the thing down. And that's what I'm saying is that it's, you know, the technology, the range of the stuff that you find is quite amazing, you know, and then some of the newer stuff, I mean, you know, Torrey Pines, that's a city golf course. The sprinkler system for Torrey Pines Golf Course is controlled by an iPad, and it's on my network. You know, I mean, they don't teach you that kind of stuff in, you know, an IT school. You know, you're going to have to worry about a golf course that's on your network. You know, it's quite unique. You know, and then, you know, I'm sure you've heard of, like, you know, the Internet of Things. Well, we have the Internet of Everything. You know, Cisco likes to call it the Internet of Everything, and we do. You know, we have sensors that are in parking spots. You know, so that, you know, like in Hillcrest right now, we got a project going on. You pull into a parking spot, there's sensors in the parking spot, you know, and there's a little sign right there by the parking meter. You can pull out your phone, log into an app, and go ahead and pay for your, you know, your parking via an app from your phone, and the sensor knows that your car is there. You know, so we're collecting that data, and we're looking at monetizing that data over time, you know, because there's people that want to go ahead and create different apps that know, you know, deal with traffic flow and parking data and all that kind of stuff. You know, so, you know, we're dealing with parking meters that are, you know, on the network, and sensors that are on gas trucks. No, not gas trucks, but garbage trucks. So we're tracking, you know, garbage trucks as they're going about the city, you know, picking up trash and everything, because you're looking for better routes. You know, so we got GPS sensors on these trucks, and we're looking at the sensors to figure out what are better routes at which time of the day because of the traffic patterns, so that we can save fuel. You know, and so it's, you know, you're dealing with the Internet of Things is really big in the city right now. If you walk around in the gas lamp downtown, you see all the nice, pretty, the new gas lamps that they have set up. You know, they're like the LED lights, you know, they turn on at nighttime and then they turn back off and everything. What most people don't know is those are a platform. That's actually a 900 megahertz wireless mesh platform. All of downtown is a wireless mesh platform that runs on 900 megahertz, which is the emergency services type, you know, communications platform. So those things are a nice, you know, remote control way for the city to be able to turn the lights on and turn them down, but they're also a platform that we're putting sensors on, you know, that we're doing different stuff. You know, GE is a big project that GE is doing with the city. You know, so I mean, it's all these different things that you run into on the networks. You know, next slide. So now we come to the phone. You know, we come to the threats, what we're dealing with our networks. Next slide. You know, I average right now about 60,000 attacks per day on the network, on average. You know, it goes up and down. Lately, we've been averaging about 200,000 to 300,000, you know, per day. It gets really unique. Some of the daily summary threat reporting that I do up there, that's from our Palo Alto firewall. So, you know, we take a look at it, and I get them on my phone daily where I'm taking a look at them and seeing what, you know, what latest threats, you know, what latest attacks we had the night before. But we average, you know, on average, it's been about 60,000. It'll flex depending on holidays. I guess the bad guys on the holidays, they got nothing to do, so they like to do stuff. It gets really busy around tax time, you know, with phishing attacks and some of the stuff that we see. But on average, you know, it's, you know, you can see automated attacks. You can see some really sophisticated, you know, phishing attacks and stuff like that that go against the city, where they have been up on LinkedIn, they've been up on Facebook, they're trolling, they collect names, they've been up on the city website, and then they go ahead and they launch attacks, and the emails are written in a way to really sound like, you know, official emails because they're trying to break in. You know, with 14,000 desktops, we only have about 35 infected computers per month, which isn't bad. I mean, at one time it was about 170, I've got it down to 35. Building out a cybersecurity suite at the moment right now with a lot of automated tools and a lot of stuff that we're doing. I'm trying to get it down to where we're like less than 10 per month is what I'd like to get. You know, basically we want to be proactive and not reactive. I don't want to wait until it's been hacked. I want to go ahead and stop it before it happens. The anonymous, you know, the hacktivist groups, We've been attacked 4 times by them in the last 6 months, and that's actually about average. You know, most cities, you know, you are targets. The FBI, I put up there about a 62% increase. The FBI notes that a lot of the hacktivist groups have been attacking cities, and the reason is that cities is where the data's at. You know, there's a ton of data. You know, cities have tons of information. Cities have tons of different networks that are interconnected. You know, if you want to make a statement and be on the news and everything, you take down the city. You know, it's a good way to do it. You know, so you see a lot of it. Next slide. You know, they also like to brag about it on Twitter. You know, a couple of more recent ones that go up there, and what we see a lot of with the hacktivist groups is, you know, the police department or somebody like that will do something that somebody gets pissed off about, and so, you know, what do you do if the police department does something you don't like? Let's go hack the city. So that's what we see a lot of. You know, one of the more recent ones, the police department shot the guy's dog over in Ocean Beach or PB, wherever it was. You know, they come in, they knocked on the door, guy come up to the door, had his dog with him. The dog got aggressive, so the cop shot the dog. You know, some of the groups didn't like that, so they decided to attack the city. You know, we deal with it, you know, quite a lot. It's just this one of the things that we know if we have an incident, you know, within 24 to 48 hours, we're going to get attacked. You know, so far they haven't gotten in, they haven't gotten past the DMZ, but it's just one of those things that, you know, we understand. It's just part of doing business. When you're a city, you're a big target. You know. Next slide. So this is some of the things that I'm working on right now to defend and protect the city. This first one right here, Cyberflow Analytics. They're a local startup company. They're based in La Jolla. We went in, we brought them in, and they've been running in the city for about a year now. And they're very unique solution in the fact that they don't do signature. They're not signature based at all. It's all behavioral analytics. And typically what we do is I go ahead and I get startups and I bring them into the city. We do a proof of concept, so we get to use them for a year for free. And in that year time frame, they get a chance to go ahead and run on all of our networks, and they get a chance to really adjust their solution, adjust their algorithms, actually run it for real on networks that are actively being attacked, so they can go ahead and see, you know, what they need to do to, you know, to fine tune their stuff. And in that process, their teams work with my teams, and we make recommendations for them to change out their dashboard and new things that we'd like to go ahead and see. And then I also talk to their venture capitalists or anybody that's going to be investing in them, so, you know, give them an honest, straight up, you know, hey, this is what we see, this is how they're doing, you know, per se. This company, Cyberflow, you know, their year's about up, and so typically at the end of a year we get rid of them, but we're keeping them. And so I'm getting ready to, you know, we actually are getting ready to start paying them to go ahead and keep their solution. Because of the work that they've done with the city, they're now doing POCs with Walmart, American Airlines, they're doing a lot of, but I said, you know, it's all behavioral. It's very interesting where they come in, they do a 3-dimensional mapping of the networks, and they know that you as a user, you come in, and over time, you sit down, you log in the morning, you got a shared drive that you go to, you got specific applications that you use, you check your email, and it builds a baseline profile of how you use that computer. And so if one morning that computer, instead of doing the regular stuff that it does, instead tries to go across the network and get into a share over in financial management or something, that's something that's totally different, and it flags that machine as a case for us to investigate. You know, and as you can see, some of the, can't really see it very well on that screen all the way up there, but the one on the left, the big round mapping, that's what a normal scan looks like when we're scanning with a regular security tool. And we actually forgot to tell them when we did it, so we thought it was pretty cool when it happened. The one on the right, the red one, that was a Bitcoin attack that we had. And we were able to go ahead and we had that Bitcoin attack, and you can bring up a map and actually see, you know, in the world where the thing's trying to go to and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. You know, and what we've done, and we've actively used them. We're pairing them with our Palo Alto firewalls, and they're one of the core reasons why we've been able to reduce about 160 machines per month down to 35 per month for our infection rate, is because of the fact that we catch it very, very quickly. And so, let's see, next slide. This is a new one that we're bringing in. They've been with the city now about 2 months. And again, they're another local company. Where CyberFlow is installed inside the core part of the network and maps out, Packet Sled is they're on the perimeter. And everything that leaves the network goes through Packet Sled. And what they do is they go ahead and they do the same thing as behavioral mapping. What's fascinating with them is from a forensic perspective, if we have a breach or if we have an attack, they'll see all the anomalous behavior that's going on, and we can go ahead and we can actually replay the attack packet by packet and watch the attack develop, and we can actually see, did it stay on one machine or did it branch out, what other machines did it go to? So it's really cool. I mean, we used it recently. We had a Tesla crypt virus outbreak in the mayor's office, and we used it to verify that it only stayed on one machine. It didn't branch out, and then when it got into the share drive, it only was on one folder. It didn't kill the whole share drive. So it's a very unique tool, and we're very happy to have it. We're still learning how to use it, but it's a fascinating tool right now. And you can see there on the left, the big round kind of map, where it looks like it's coming out like this. Well, the cone pieces where it's coming out, that's supposed to be where a lot of the traffic is focused towards. And so what you can do is, with the mouse, you can kind of highlight, one of those areas and kind of highlight it, and you can actually drill down into it and actually look for all the way down to, like, say, if you were really concerned about a certain type of traffic or certain types of protocols that are aligned with malware, you can actually go ahead and get down to, like, I want to look at this malware traffic for 5 o'clock in the morning from 5 to 5:15, and I want to see what machines it went to. And so you can actually carve that down to, you can even carve it down to like 5 seconds in time if you wanted to go ahead. And so that's one of the reasons why we like it, is especially when we're really interested and we want to dig down into some unique stuff that we're seeing on the network, we'll use Packet Sled to start carving up data to go ahead and see what happened. So next slide. And then this is Splunk. I don't know if any of you have heard of Splunk. Splunk is interesting. They right now are the industry leaders. In fact, I'm going to a security conference with them starting next weekend. They, anything that's connected to a network creates logs, creates data. You connect anything to a network, it's going to create logs, it's going to create data, it's going to create some type of artifacts of how it's being used, the data flows, anything that's going on with it. Splunk will collect all of that. You can use Splunk to go ahead and just throw all kinds of logs and data and everything into it. And then what Splunk does is on its dashboard, you can load apps. Tons of vendors out there have designed apps to go ahead and work with Splunk. And so what Splunk does is it collects all of these logs in a big, massive, like data warehouse per se. And then you can go ahead and say if you've got Cisco firewalls and Palo Alto firewalls, and you're using all different types of, like SAP for your ERP solution, you can load that, app into the dashboard, and then you can drill down into that type of traffic, that type of data flow traffic for that specific type of application. And you can do some really interesting analytics to take a look at how the network's being used, what the bad guys are trying to do on your network. You can take a look at, for like data that's going through the network, where do you have your peaks, and your valleys? When is it really, really busy and when is it quiet? We found some really interesting stuff when we were using Splunk. We were noticing really high volumes of video traffic at certain times in the evening. And we're like, what the hell is this? Who's watching Netflix, at 7 o'clock in the evening? And we're watching really, really high spikes in Netflix traffic and stuff like this. And we're trying to figure out what it is. And then we realized we forgot that we have firehouses on the network. And so the firefighters in the evening or watching movies. You know, so it was stuff like that. You know, we were watching, and we were seeing spikes, especially on the weekend, of protocols and stuff that were assigned for Xbox game systems and stuff like that. And then we started taking a look at it and we realized, okay, it was firehouses. Because firefighters were playing their Xbox. You know, and so it was like stuff like that. I said, you see some really unique stuff on the networks. But you know, what you learn though is you learn through Splunk and tools like this that that's normal. And that's baseline normal, and it should be happening at these times of the day and stuff like that. And you realize, you know, like digging into and learning how your networks are being used, that this is normal traffic. That this is, you know, and then when things aren't there, or when things are really, really weird that pop up at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's an immediate flag, because you know, wait a minute, you know, these people aren't there at that time of the day, or these systems aren't online at that time of the day. This should not be happening. You know, and so that's what you use Splunk for, is to dig into that kind of stuff. Next slide. This is another project we're working on. ESET is a local company here in San Diego. They're headquartered here. The city had, with about 14,000 plus, you know, desktops and laptops and tablets and everything, we had like 4 different types of antivirus, which, you know, from a maintenance perspective, gets to be a big pain in the butt. So when you're trying to go ahead and manage licensing, you're trying to manage all of this, you know, the software and everything. So what we did was we went ahead and, you know, predominantly most of our stuff was, since we're an Office 365, you know, suite, you know, we have Office 365 push out throughout the city. You know, Microsoft wants you to use their Microsoft Forefront, which is a piece of crap, you know, from an antivirus perspective. It only has like about an 82% detection ratio, where ESET's about 99%. You know, so we went with ESET because of not just the detection ratio, we went with it because it runs nice and smooth and quiet in the background. We went with it because it runs on Windows, it runs on Macs, and it runs on Linux. You know, so we could go ahead and get it for the 3 primary platforms that we had. And they cut us a really good deal, so it was like that. So we're just finishing this project right now. We're in the last stages of it. We're pushing it out to about 1,000 police cars over the next couple weeks, as we're pushing it out to all the laptops and the police vehicles. Next stage. And then one of the last ones we have is we're doing right now is training. You don't really think very much about it, but because the city is a large target, and because we deal with a lot of phishing emails and a lot of, you know, spam and stuff like that, human nature, people just want to click on shit. You know, it drives me insane. You know, and I mean, out of the 35 machines a month that we get that are infected, 32 of them are caused by phishing because people click on stuff. You know, but we found that you know, you really reduce that